I've always looked upon golf as a two-part game. The first half is striking the ball and hitting shots. And we covered that very completely in Golf My Way 1. The second half of the game is managing yourself and the golf course, making the most of your shot-making ability to bring in the lowest possible score every time you play. Most people work much harder at the first half of the game than the second, with the result that they never achieve their full scoring potential. When I've struck the ball well but managed my game poorly, I've rarely won. But I've won many times when I've hit the ball poorly but managed myself and the golf course well. That's what this show is all about. Playing the percentages, that's what the pros call it. What do I mean by playing the percentages? Well, if you've got out of bounds on one side of the hole, and there really isn't much trouble and they're light rough or, well, even trees or something, I would much rather have the ball in the trees than I would out of bounds. There's nothing worse than turning to your caddy and saying, "May I have another ball, please?" That's 2 strokes. I can always figure out some way to get the ball off the left side of the fairway or out of the trees into the green. And what I'm trying to do is, if the fairway is 40 yards wide and I got out of bounds 5 yards to the right of that fairway, then I'm going to favor the left 20 yards of that fairway. That's where I'm going to play. If I miss a little bit, then I might put it in the right side of the fairway, but my odds are that I'm going to keep it in the left side or even in the left rough. If I have a second shot, if I'm in the rough and I'm playing into the green, I've got water on one side or I've got a deep bunker on one side, I want to make sure that I hit the smart approach shot and leave myself, if I miss it, in a place that I can recover. I want to make sure that I have an uphill putt. I don't want to put myself in a position where I can 3-putt. If I happen to miss that green, then the little pitch shot that I'm going to play, I want to make sure that my recovery is in a position that I have the easiest putt possible. All of these things put together result in getting a lower score. I think that is really what we're trying to do, is play the percentages to try to get a lower score. When I'm driving a golf ball, I never try to hit a straight shot. In other words, meaning I never aim the ball down the center of a fairway, because if I have a 40-yard fairway and I'm not sure whether I'm going to hook it or slice it, I've only got 20 yards to move it in. Everybody always has a bread and butter shot. For me, it's been left to right through the years. In other words, I can aim down the left side of the fairway. If I happen to hit it straight or move a little bit left, I'm still probably all right. But if I'm going to try to fade it, I've got that 30 or 40 yards of fairway to fade the ball in. It gives me more room for air. And all golfers are that way. Most everybody's either a slicer or have a tendency to hook. And so I think it's very important to be able to pick your shot, pick your best shot, and when you got a tight situation, make sure you use it. In other words, like here, I'm going to aim down the left side of the fairway, cut the ball back up into the wind, and hold it there. Aim down the left side, open the club face slightly at address, and then just swing there. A little left to right, right down the fairway, you'll be able to play from there. Now, for some people, hitting a draw is an easier shot. And when I want a little extra distance and I'm going to try to reach a par 5, then I'll more than likely go to the right to left shot, because the ball seems to run a little bit further. It seems you can hit it a little bit harder, and it goes a little further when you play it right to left. So I aim down the right side of the fairway, close the face just a little bit at address. Make sure I stay behind the ball. Make a good turn and release it. I like that one too. Let me give you a little refresher of how I play those 2 shots. First of all, the right to left shot. I simply stand up to a golf ball, close the club face slightly, aim to the right of the target, and take a normal golf swing. Now with the driver, because I'm taking so much of the loft off the golf club, I close the club face slightly, but I drop my head slightly behind the ball, which means that I will come into the golf ball a little bit more from the inside with a little bit of a closed face, but I'll be hitting a little bit on the upstroke, so I still will have a little loft on the shot. Playing left to right, all I do is open the club face at address, aim to the left of the target, and take a normal golf swing. That's a simple way to play a right to left or left to right golf shot. There are times when we all want to hit the ball further. We want to hit the ball further down a hole to get a shorter shot to the green. Well, there are many times when that's an advantage to do. If I've got a hole where there really isn't a great risk, a very long par 4, such as this hole, the 9th hole at Loxahatchee, it's a 431-yard par 4, I can gain something by hitting the ball an extra 20 yards further. Now, if I have a par 5 where I can get home in 2, that's an advantage. I might try it there too. But I only want to hit the ball hard when there is an advantage. Otherwise, I want to make sure I keep it in play. So I'm going to go ahead and, on this particular hole, and take the gamble and try to get down a little further, because it is definitely an advantage to hit the ball a little closer to this green. It's not a large green, and one that accepts obviously a 6 or 7 iron better than it does a 3 or 4 iron. Okay, now, we all want to know the one question. How do you hit it further? Well, there's only one thing I know, and I say make the golf club head, move faster. Not my arms, not my hands, not my legs, not everything else, just the club head. Now, when I do that, I have a tendency to want to swing as fast as I can. So what I'm going to try to do to hit the ball further, to make this move faster, is to make sure that I use all of my elements in my swing to their fullest degree. I want to make it long and full swing as I can possibly make. I want to make sure that my legs are driving to create as much leverage so when I release that club head, the club head is coming into the ball faster. And I want to make sure that I make a long finish to keep that club head moving so that I don't ever stop the ball or stop the club head in the hitting area. All these are very important. But the natural tendency when you want to hit the ball hard is to swing faster. So I make a very conscious effort to swing more slowly so that I give myself all the time in the world for all those elements to happen, so the club head can move faster and the ball will go further. Show you what I mean. Make sure that I get nice and relaxed up over the ball. Make sure that I'm in a comfortable position. Make sure that my aim is the same. Make up my mind what I'm going to do. And then that first 6 inches is very important. Make sure that I take the club away a little bit more slowly. And if you do that, I think you're going to find that you're not only going to hit the ball further, but you're also going to control it better than if you would if you'd just taken a wild swing at it. Give it a try. I don't ever play a shot if I don't know the exact distance. Here I am in the fairway. I'm 2 paces behind the 157 sprinkler. The 157 sprinkler is to the center of the green. So that means I'm 159 yards to the center of the green. The pin's a couple of yards short of that, so maybe I've got 156, 155 yards. That's not good enough when I'm playing a tournament. I want to be exact. I want to know exactly how far I am. I want to know exactly how far it is to the front of that green so I know what club I can take out of my bag to make sure I get it over the front of the green. I want to know how far it is to the back of the green. So I want to make sure I can pick a club out of my bag that I won't reach the back of the green. I want to know how far it is to carry a bunker that may be on the side of the green or a little appendage that goes around the side, or how close the pin is to one side so I can play onto the safe side of that hole. I always want to know all the information I have, and I can put it in my little computer here and say, okay, I've ended up with 157 yards. I've got 13 yards in front of the pin. That means that I've got 144. A good 8 iron might get me to the front, but more than likely I'm going to need a 7 to get it into the green, or a 6 to get it into the center of the green. An average 6 will probably carry me around in that area. So I mean, I'm starting to think of all those things when I'm playing a golf shot. Now, how do I do that, and how do I prepare myself for a round of golf? Well, when I go out and play a practice round, I pick up a sprinkler, such as the 157 sprinkler, and I take it and I write it down on my little scorecard, and I pace it off to the green. Now, through the years, I've paced a lot, so my pace is pretty accurate. And when I get to the front of the green here, I might come up with 144 yards. Then I walk off the green. The green might be 30 yards long. And so that means that if the green's 30 yards long, then I've got 187 yards to the back of the green. So I always know my limits. I write that down. Then before the round, I'll send my caddy out. They give us a pin sheet generally on tour, telling exactly where the pins are, but I usually send my caddy out to make sure. And if the pin is 13 yards on the green, boom, 144, 13, 157, I know exactly. I know from my little sheet where that bunker is, where the side of the green is, where all the problems are. I can then, once I have all my information, then I can go to my bag, pick the right club out of my bag, figure out what kind of shot I have to play, and play it with confidence. All of us have a tendency to either hit the ball left to right or right to left. And we all like to favor that shot. And I think that's fine. I mean, if you would look up at this hole right here, we've placed two flags on the green. One on the left side of the green, one on the right side of the green. The obvious situation would say, well, let's play for the fat of the green, and the pin on the left will hook the ball to the hole. The pin on the right will cut the ball to the hole, always using the fat of the green as the logical place to play from. I think that's fine. I think that's great in theory, but all of us can't do that. I can do it sometimes, sometimes I can't. If I'm playing very well and playing left to right, then I'll go ahead and take my shot at that right-hand pin placement. But I'll shy away from the left-hand pin placement. I'll hit the ball at the hole and making my air to be to the right of the hole so that I'm using the fat of the green to put up the green. So let's try the left pin placement first with what I call the safe shot, hitting the ball at the hole and let it work to the center of the green. And there are probably maybe 5 or 6 pins a day that I can't shoot at if I'm playing that way. And if I do play that way, then I just forget those holes. I'll go ahead and just try to make par and move on, not try to be the bold player, play the shot that I can't play the shot that I haven't practiced. Get the ball in the center ring, get my par and move on. When the pin's in the right and I can be aggressive, go after it. So here's the first one, to the left pin placement. Okay, I've hit the ball to the hole. The ball went pretty straight, but my air was to the right. The ball should end up just to the right of the hole. Now, if I were really playing well and really felt confident of a right to left shot, then I'd aim the ball at the center of the green, which is really the safer shot if you're playing well. Close the club face slightly at address, aim it up the center of the green, and play a little draw and work myself back to the hole. Now, to the right pin placement, that pin's in the back part of the green, I need one more club. So I would take, instead of a 7-iron, I'll take a 6-iron, aim it at the center of the green, and cut the ball back to that pin, using the wind and the shape of the shot to get the ball close. But always playing slightly to the left of the hole to play to the safe side. Playing percentages, playing the right shot, choosing the right shot for you and for the pin placement on the green. It's very important. Playing into the wind is a very, very difficult situation. The natural tendency is to hit the ball harder. The harder you hit it, the more spin you put on it. The more spin you put on it, the more the wind's going to affect the ball. If you hit it straight, it's going to balloon it. If you hit it with a little slice, it's going to accentuate it going off to the right. If you hit a little hook, it's going to accentuate it going off to the left. Put you in a very awkward position. All these problems are caused by one thing: spin. So, and the harder you hit it, the more spin you put on the golf ball. Now, I'm sitting here at 180 yards from the hole, and I've even accentuated the situation by having an elevated position to play to a lower green. That even makes it tougher because obviously anything that's going to be faded or hooked is going to move further offline because of falling further. Most people will try to take a 5-iron, let's assume the pros, from 180 yards and try to hit it hard into that wind. Well, that spin is going to move the ball all over the place if they don't hit it just absolutely perfectly. So what is the natural thing to do? Go down one club, play a 4-iron, but that still means you're still going to have to hit the ball hard. Quite often I'll go down to a 3-iron or even a 2-iron sometimes. I've got a 3-iron here in this situation, and what I try to do is take spin off of the golf ball so that the wind doesn't have any effect on the golf shot, and the ball moves through the wind with very little effect. So how do I do that without hitting it too far? Well, if I make this a short golf club, maybe choke it down and maybe make it like a 7-iron length with a 3-iron loft, then I'm going to get about a 5-iron distance. That is the theory. So here we are. I stand up to the ball with my short grip. I want to just take a normal swing, normal golf shot, but move the ball through the wind without spin. That ball landed a little short of the green and rolled onto the green. How many times do you roll the ball onto the green into the wind? Not very often with spin. But if you don't have any spin, the ball will just go through the wind, hit with very little force on it, and just run. It's a very, very useful shot when you're playing in windy conditions. So I used to chip the ball all the time from around the green. And my first year on the tour, I'll never forget, I was playing with Arnold Palmer. And he says, "Why are you chipping that ball?" And I said, "Well, I just feel like it's the right shot to play." And I mean, meaning the right shot is meaning that's what is the right thing by the book to play. And Arnold said, "Well, I've always putted the ball off the green because I never worried about what the right shot was. I always felt like my worst putt would be as good as my best chip." And if you start to think about it, if you putt a ball and you hit it 4 feet from the hole, you felt like you've hit a pretty bad putt. If you chip the ball from 4 to 4 feet or in, you feel like you've hit a pretty good chip. So from a mental standpoint, it's much easier to feel like you're going to get the ball close to the hole with a putter than it is with a pitching wedge or a chip and run or whatever club you choose to play. So I play every shot that I have the opportunity to play with a putter. Of course, that means I can't play it out of the rough, obviously, but if I have any kind of a smooth surface, if I have any place that the ball will run somewhat uniformly, I'll use a putter from off the green. And I do it exactly the same way as I would putt any other putt on the green. I just hit it a little bit harder for the fringe and then let the ball run. Hit one more here. And remember, all I'm trying to do is get the ball up somewhere around the hole where I can make the next putt. I'm not trying to hole this, although I find that I'll hold far more putts from off the green than I will chips off the green. I said before that if you can putt the ball off the green, it's the best way to get the ball close to the hole. Well, here are 2 little shots just off of the fringe where you can't really hit a putter. But there are other clubs that make the ball react very similar to a putter. First of all, is I take a shot here on a lie that's maybe 6-8 inches off the green, and I try to take a sand wedge and make it react like a putter. How do I do that? Well, I take a putting stance, putting grip, take the sand wedge and make sure that I use the leading edge and hit it right into the middle of the ball. Use this leading edge. You say, why wouldn't I use a putter? Well, the putter's got this big flat surface, and the lead edge has got a sharp penetrating surface. And anything that we have in the way, it will penetrate through. So we use a sand wedge just off the green and make it play just like a putter. One more time. Now the second shot, sort of learned it from Tom Watson. He calls it his scuzz shot. What that means, I don't have any idea. But what it is, you just sort of make some sort of an ugly swing at it. The ball just runs out there like a putter, just gets out of the high rough and runs like a putter. And the way he plays it most of the time with a pitching wedge or a 9-iron. Plays the ball up off his left foot, his hands even with the ball, club face square. Takes a very low swing rather than an abrupt swing, and makes sure that his hands and club continue through the ball. It's not hitting down on the ball, but you never turn the club over unless you want to make the ball run. But most of the time you want to run for a long distance. You make the ball run very softly by coming out with a very square face. And it's played somewhat like this. Those are two very useful shots around the green that try to make the ball react like a little chip shot or a putt. And I think they'll be very helpful in helping you get a lower score. Most people think putting starts when you arrive here on the green. Not so. Putting really starts when you're right back there on the tee. Finding out where the pin is, finding out where I want to hit my tee shot, finding out where I want my second shot to go, finding out, how can I hit my second shot underneath the hole to leave myself in the easiest possible place to putt. We play practice rounds during golf tournaments, and you're playing your home course all the time. Look around you, observe, see where the drainage of the green goes, see where you've got your uphill slopes, see where your tough pin placements are, see where your easy pin placements are, see whether it makes a difference whether you're by the hole or short of the hole or to the right of the hole or the left of the hole. Assess all the situations. Put that in your mind when you're back there on the tee. And if you have the ability to be able to stand on the tee and see where the pin is, then you sort of have some idea where you might want to play your tee shot to get the best advantage, to get in the best place on the green for your second shot, to be able to putt from the right area. All this is part of strategy of playing a golf hole. Leave your ball in the place that you can best make a putt. I mean, it's very important. I look around me and I see the grain on the green. I see you can check by the color of which way the grass is going. I find out what side of the green I don't want to miss the ball on, where I have no chance for recovery. Now that part of the green might be all right under another day with another pin placement. But you have to assess all the situations, put it all together. And when you get done with it, you can play a more intelligent, more strategic, and more successful round of golf. The long putt. What do you really try to do on a long putt? Realistically, are you thinking of holding a putt from this distance? Or are you really trying to two-putt it? Well, I think realistically, anytime you have a putt that's going to go up a hill, break to the right, go down a little hill, up over a rise, come down a hill, and break left, you're not really thinking of holding it. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of trying to get the ball close to the hole, shoot as low a score on this hole as I can, and get down in the least number of strokes. Obviously, two-putt is my thought. Distance is the important thing. And whether we want to leave the ball short of the hole or beyond the hole, what's the next best putt to leave ourselves? I mean, in this particular putt here, it really doesn't make any difference whether you're a little short or a little beyond, but so we try to work on either leaving it somewhere in the area of 4 feet short of the hole to 4 feet beyond. I've got 8 foot to hit it in here. So I've got sort of like a big old bucket up there to hit the ball in. And I think about it, and I'm a little uphill. I'm a little bit probably into the grain. The drainage comes off the green, so I'm going to have to hit it pretty hard. Actually, the wind's coming. The wind is definitely a factor in putting. The wind's coming a little bit right to left, so It's not a big factor on this particular putt, but sometimes it is. So we want to think about all those things, but when we get up to the ball, I want to make up my mind what I want to do. Make up my mind that I'm going to hit the ball just left of the hole because it's got a left break, then a right break, and then back to the left. I'm going to look at it and say, okay, I've got 10 foot, 20 foot, 30 foot, 40 foot, 50 foot. It's about a 60-foot putt. I'm thinking 60 foot. I want to get that feel in my putting stroke right here. I've got 60 feet I'm thinking about. Once I've got that in my mind, once I know what I want to do, I want to get up and make a positive stroke and try to make sure I hit it that right distance. Okay, now that's a pretty good putt. A little 3-foot putt. Probably one of the most difficult shots in golf, but really should be one of the easiest. Why is it one of the most difficult? Because it's embarrassing to miss it. You stand up over it, you know you should make it, your partners know you should make it, everybody knows you should make it, and then you stand there and say, gee, if I miss this, I'm going to be embarrassed. Well, what you do is you take your mind off of what you're doing. Put your mind on making this putt. Once you miss it, there's no way to recover from this shot because, you know, well, how are you going to recover? By hitting a 6-inch putt into the hole? You've got to make this putt, and you've got to make them all. Sure, you're going to miss one every once in a while, but for the most part, let's be positive. And what I try to do is I have 4 different putts here. I have an uphill, a downhill, a right to left, and a left to right break. And what I do is I pick a spot on that hole that I'm going to try to hit the ball, and I try to drive it into that spot. When I'm putting that uphill putt, I pick the back of the hole dead center. If it's a straight putt, that's where I want to hit it. If I'm putting the right to left putt, I pick a spot, let's just say it's the top of the cup. That's where I want to hit the ball. If I have this downhill putt, I pick the front edge of the hole because the ball is going to continue to roll. And I pick that spot at the front edge and I try to hit it to that front edge spot. And the left to right putt, I try to take that. If I'm going to pick the spot at the top of the hole here, that's the spot I hit. I want to aim it and hit it at that spot. Obviously, up the hill, I pick the back of the hole because I want to make sure that I get it up there and into the hole. Downhill, I pick the front of the hole because I want to get it just over the edge. And I hit it medium firm on both the side hill putts. That's how I putt short putts. Stand here, make up my mind what I want to do, aim it at that spot in the back of the hole, and hit it there. I pick the spot on the right edge of the hole, aim it, and hit it in there. I've got the putt going down the hill. Now I'm going to try to hit it at the front edge of the hole. Aim it there, and hit it there. Now the putt left to right, I'm going to aim it at the left side edge of the hole, sit my putter there, make up my mind I'm going to do it, and hit it there. Now if you can be positive on these little short putts, you're not going to miss very many of them. But if you're worried about missing them, you're worried about being embarrassed, you're going to miss a lot of them. So be positive. Pick a spot and drive it home. We all need to work hard on our swing technique and ball striking. But never forget that no matter how well you swing and hit the ball, it won't be reflected in your score until you've learned to play with your head just as well.